having a wonderful day. Today's video will be about living in Utah and what is it like living in Utah. I had a couple of requests about, oh, I want to hear more about Utah. What's the difference between living in Utah and Florida? So I wanted to make this video to tell you guys more about that. And before I get started, I'll throw a disclaimer here. This is all of my experience. I'm not sure if this goes to everybody, but this is all my experience. And before I get started, I just want to tell you guys, I honestly think it's very underrated, or Utah in general is very underrated. I tell everybody that wants to hear about Utah, it's like a hidden gem. Okay, so this video will be about living in Utah. And I've been living in Salt Lake City almost a year and a half. I lived in Florida for 4 years. And honestly, there's a lot of different things that are very different between the two states. And this is exactly what I'm gonna tell you guys. First thing I've noticed, and I noticed this a long time ago, is that Utah has a lot of stores that are only in Utah, or at least here in Salt Lake City. You got Smith's, Ream, Macy's, and not the Macy's that you're thinking, a different Macy's. You got Dance Market, Savers, Harmon's, Winco. So there's a lot of stores that I've seen and never seen anywhere else. Not in Florida. I've road tripped a lot, so I've seen a lot of states and I've never seen any of those stores anywhere else. Okay, second thing that is different living in Utah. So you know how in Pittsburgh everybody is obsessed with Heinz ketchup? Well, in Utah everybody is obsessed with fry sauce, and it's pretty much their sauce of God. And everywhere you go you get a fry sauce, or it's at least an option, and it's made out of ketchup, mayo. But you know, if someone talks about fry sauce, they are from Utah, or they are lived in Utah at least for a while. Third thing that is odd to me, everybody loves, and I mean everybody, like kids love it. Kids and everybody drink soda, especially Mountain Dew. Like where I lived before in Florida, everybody hated Mountain Dew. Mountain Dew was the last drink someone would ever get. But here it's the #1 drink. Also Diet Mountain Dew. One other thing now about soda is in Utah you actually have soda stores. So you go to a soda store or go through a drive-through. There's called Sodalicious, Fizz, Swig, and you just tell them, oh, I want a dirty pineapple drink, which means that they just put in a little bit of Mountain Dew, a little bit of Cherry Coke, and Diet Coke, something like that. It's crazy. Fourth thing that is different living in Utah is the views and how beautiful it is in here. Yeah, in Florida I had the beach, which I still love the beach, but here I have the most amazing views in my backyard, on my way to work. Or Utah also has 5 national parks, which is amazing. Fifth thing, there is no lottery. That's not legal. A couple weeks ago there's a huge lottery drawing going on nationally here in America, and it's illegal in Utah, so everybody drove to Colorado, Idaho, or Wyoming to get their tickets. A lot of things are closed on Sundays. So I know when I first got here it was pretty hard to get used to that, because I mean Saturdays, Sundays are my days off, so I get to do whatever I want. But then I realized I don't really get to do things that I want to do on Sunday because a lot of things are closed. For example, my favorite acai place called Protein Foundry, or the dog wash place where I like to go wash Bobo. We get to go skiing during the winter, and in Florida obviously there was no skiing, but here in Utah we live 5 minutes away from the canyon, and it's 20 minutes up the canyon, so it's so close to go skiing. Utahns love genealogy, which is very funny because I know at work people discuss their heritage, and they go to ancestry.com, or there are a couple other websites, and everybody kind of shares and does that. But I think that's interesting that Utahns love their genealogy and where they're from. We got the ninth thing, which is an odd one. If you go out to dinner or go out to party and you order a drink, you have to finish it before you get the same exact drink. You cannot have two drinks that are the same in front of you, because that's illegal in Utah. That's interesting. Like, I'm not sure why, but another thing that is different in Utah, I would say the road rage here in Utah is the worst that I've ever seen. I've seen some crazy things happening, some fingers flying, some people also don't show their turn signal, which is interesting. Another thing is, I like to call this that Utah has two 4th of Julys, and one of them isn't on 4th of July. So you got the 4th of July, the American Independence, but then you also have 24th of July, which is called the Pioneers Day, and it's a day that a lot of Utahns celebrate and take off from work, and also fireworks. So I like to say that Utah has two 4th of Julys. Another thing that is different here in Utah is, I would like to say that everybody here is much nicer and very friendly, and they would go out of their way to help you. So I think that's something that's really cool and I really appreciate about living in Utah. Summers are really warm here in Utah and winters are really cold. Obviously living in Florida, the summers were warm and the winters were warm, but here in Utah, summers are like extreme warm. Like, I would say even warmer than in Florida. You got 100 degrees, no rain whatsoever, and we all know it rains in Florida during the summer. It's always sunny. It's kind of like a desert here in Utah. But during the winter, we have snow. I woke up this morning and there was a little bit of snow on the ground, which there's gonna be a lot more snow. But it's also pretty similar to Estonian winter here in Utah, except during the winter, it's gonna be sunny here in Utah, and it's most likely not gonna be sunny in Estonia. Last thing I think is different living in Utah is when you go to the movies, and let me tell you that everybody loves movies. There's a couple things. I've noticed that people bring their blankets, which is odd. They also bring their empty popcorn pockets, but I think they get a discount when they fill it out there. But if you go buy the ticket, you also have to choose your place where you sit, which is the same in Estonia. But everywhere in the rest of the country, I think, at least in Florida and in Pittsburgh, where I've been to the movie theaters, is when you go to the movie theater, you cannot or won't be able to choose your seat. You just show up there and just pick your seat. But not in Utah. When you go in, again, when you go buy the ticket, you also pick your seat, which is interesting. Okay guys, that was it for this week's video. If you enjoyed this week's video, then please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, because again, I have a video coming out every single week. And if you already have done it, then thank you, and I'm very thankful and grateful for you. And I will see you next week. Ciao!